says recording will start soon. There we go, we're recording. Okay, so I'm going to start by sharing my screen, and I've just got Access open, and I've got a really small dummy database that I've just set up. So I've got a couple of tables, and the main ones are customer and booking. So what I've thought was I'm going to do a database, and it's going to have just a couple of customers. Now, obviously, in a real database, I'd have a lot more information. I'd have contact details, telephone number, emails and things, but this is just proof of concept more than anything. So I just kept it short to put some customer information in. So obviously auto ID and just first and second name. I've then got a bookings table, and what I've said for this is, oops, let's save that table, is that I'm going to create bookings for customers. And what the idea was, this was a minibus tour. So I've got a small minibus with 4 rows of seats, or 4 seats in each row, small minibus, and I do 1 tour every day. So I've got sort of 16 seats that can be taken every day, and that's it. And what I want to be able to do is, when I'm creating a booking, I want it to filter out the seats I haven't got. And there's a couple of things that I'm going to go through today. So the very first thing is, well, let's just go and create a form from the wizard for booking. I'll take all of the fields, and next, and finish. So really simply, I've just got this form. I've got in here booking ID that's going to come automatically, so I would probably make that non-editable field. Booking date automatically comes up with the date, which can be really useful, much easier with the calendar to sort of say what date it is. So we'll go back into the 1st of June. And seat number, well, I know that my bus is going to have about 16 seats, so I could try doing something like that. Doesn't really mean anything. That's not going to be valid entry. But at the minute, I don't really care, because I've just got this really silly form. And then seat type. Well, what's the seat type? I want a comfy seat. And what I've done is I've set some validation on this, so I can't put comfy in. And I've removed my validation here, and there we go. So in here it's saying seat type must be adult, OAP, or child, and this will allow me to do some pricing. So that's a bit annoying, but okay, so I'll write in, so it's adult. And then customer ID, well, I showed you before, I've set some customers up, but I can't remember what their IDs was. I think it was number 7. But when we look at this form, how useless is this form? It's not helpful for the user at all. So the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to add a few lookups on this form to make it better for the user. So first of all, I'll go to the next record. So it's actually, it won't change that because it doesn't like this seat number 34. So I'll go back and I'm just going to turn it off and not save any records. So I've got this bookings table, form, sorry, and I'm going to go to design view and have a look at it. Well, there's a few things in here that look a bit odd. First of all, I can see booking ID. Well, if it's new, I don't want to be editing booking ID. So in certain things that I can do, I can change within here whether it's enabled or not. So I can make that sort of no, or locked even. So locked would probably be better. So if it's this. And we can play with different things on here. And I can just make sure that if I do anything, whenever I make changes, I always like to test it just to make sure that I haven't done anything silly, which can quite often happen. So if I just go now to this one, and you can see there it's got a number on it. And if I say, oh, I want a new one, I can't actually type anything in here because I've locked it, but it still allows me to create a new record. So if I put the 7th and it's gone there, you can see it's creating a new record. So that's fine. So I'll go for 1, adult, and custody. And that's fine. It kind of worked. Okay, so I can close that off. I can go and check in my bookings, and I have created these 2 records now. I didn't mean to create that one. That was me playing before, wasn't it? But there we go. So let's go back and look at this form again and design view. There's a couple of other things on this form that were really annoying. Well, the first one was seat number. I tried to put 34 in it. It wasn't until I got to the end of the record that it said, well, 34 isn't valid. So what I've done is said, well, I've created a table that's just got, well, I've only got these seats on a bus. Notice I haven't had to set these records up for every day that this trip is running. It's a daily trip. I've just set up one generic, this is the seats on a bus. And wouldn't it be much nicer if I could look at these instead of that? And at the minute I could put any number in. It didn't tell me I'd made a mistake, and it didn't tell me what I had to do to rectify it. So what I would like to do is set up lookups. And we don't actually do a lot of this on the form. What we do is we do it in the bookings table. So I'm going to close my form off. And I'm going to do this on a few things in the bookings table. So I'm going to go to bookings table. I'm going to go to design view. We're going to have a look through each of these fields. So the date comes up with the calendar. Absolutely fine. I like the calendar. It's really helpful. It's a visible visual aid to picking the date. The seat number, however, is just a number, and that means nothing when you're entering it. So let's go and look up. At the minute, it just says, well, the text box. Well, I'm going to click in here and drop down. A combo box of the seat numbers would be much more useful. And as soon as I change it from text view, I've got a lot more options here. So bound column is number 1. So that's the one that creates that link between buses and bookings. I'll keep that. That's good. Column count. Well, do I just want to show 1 to 16? No, I want to show that row 1 seat number. So I'm going to say, well, actually show 2 columns. I can show column headings if I want to, but I don't need to. And that's fine. Just that. And that's all I've done is change it from text box to combo box. Made it come from a query and from there. In here, I've said table query, which table? So I can drop down and say, well, actually, this is going to come from bus, a bus table. So now I'm pulling it from the bus table. I'm showing 2 columns, but it's binding that first column. I can do a little bit more, but we'll show that in a second. So I'm going to just test this one. I'm going to save that. I'm now going to go into, I'm not sure if it'll do it if I've already created the form. So I think I will have to delete that. Yeah, we'll delete that. And we're going to go into our form. So I'm just going to go. So I might delete and create a few here. I'll show you building up slowly. So create from wizard again from the bookings table, all the fields, and finish. So again, I'll probably make that locked again. But now look at my seat number. I've got this drop down menu, and isn't that much more useful? I can now pick which seat I want. Oh, actually, I want the back seat because I'm a rebel. So seat 16, and it's for an adult, and customer ID. Again, we're going to come to that. We're going to do the same sort of thing. But that's much more useful than not showing that. Okay, so close that off again. We're going to go in again on our bookings table. Notice we're doing it at table level. I'm going to design view. And so that's the seat number done. But also on this, if I sort of go into my lookup, I've got in here, I do that on the form actually. So seat type, at the minute it's got short text. It just lets me enter something. But as you saw before, when I wrote comfy, it didn't allow that. So I kind of want, well, there's only 3 things. It's adult, child, or OAP. So let's go into lookup in here. Instead of a text box, I can make it a combo box or a list box. Doesn't really matter. I prefer combo box because it brings a nice box that you open up rather than having a list of things there. Row source, well, table query. Well, there isn't I haven't set a table up with the seat type or what you're asking for. So I'm going to say a value list. So value list is going to allow me to enter in. So in my row source, I can just literally say adult, use a comma to separate them, child, OAP. And I don't need the speech marks. I thought I did when I first did put this one in. And there's only 1 column of those 3 things, and that's fine. So, okay, so let's give that a go. While we're in here, we might as well do our customer ID as well. So customer ID in here, we're going to link this. Again, text box and our lookup. So notice you got the general where we were setting the types. It's on here. It's on this tab at the bottom, lookup. And I'm going to get, again, I'm going to do a combo box. Table query. I want to pull the information from the customer from the customer table. Now be very careful once you start building it up on here because you'll have queries and forms and all sorts and it might try and take it from the wrong thing. So you want it from the top one, from the customer table directly on there. The bound column is column 1. Column count. Well, in the customer table, I've got customer ID, first name, surname. So I want all of those. So I'm going to put 3 in there. And that's fine. Okay. And that's linking it to what's going on. Okay, so there's a couple of other things in here. So that should do for that. So I'm going to close that off. Yes, I want to save changes. And I'm just going to show you the bookings form again, because I don't think it updates automatically on here, because it's obviously we've created this form. So I'm going to delete this form. And obviously you don't have to keep deleting it. You can sort of just create another one, but it makes it cleaner if I'm deleting, if I'm not going to be using it. So I'm going to go create form wizard from the bookings table. Make sure it says table up here. All of the fields. Next and finish. This time, the information shown still isn't overly clear. I've got my date, so I can pick the date from the 17th. The seat number, showing me clearly the seat numbers that are available for this bus. I can choose now between child, adult, OOP, so I can't go writing something stupid in. I can see clearly, so only allowed to pick from the thing. And again, the customer ID, clearly showing me my customers of what I've got in there and what I can add. So it makes it a lot easier to put the information in. I can also add to this. So this is really good. This makes it much easier from a user point of view, because we're picking from real data from the database. It's meaningful rather than just putting a number in. What does that number mean? It doesn't mean anything. It means that we can add it in there. So I'm going to stop this recording at the minute, because that's all I kind of wanted to show you on lookups. So I'll leave it at that for now. So I'm going to stop recording. Okay. I don't remember how to stop recording. I can't find the stop recording, so I'm not going to stop recording. There we go. Okay. Okay, it's a little bit worrying. I keep pressing stop recording and it's not stopping recording, so I don't know quite what to do.
Is it on the new options menu? Maybe.
Yep. It is on the new options menu and it says stop recording, press here. I'm stopping recording and it's not recording, stopping recording, which is a little bit worrying. So I'm probably just